But Robin convinced all of us that she could speak Kody.
Hello everyone, today we are talking about Sister Wives Season 18 Tell-All Part 2. So we're in the second tell-all. I have to tell you guys, I really enjoyed this one. There are a few things I didn't like, but I'll tell you about that when I get started. I do want to remind you I'm going to be putting together a video where I talk about things we want Santa to bring the members and the ex-members of the Brown family. So go ahead in the comments, let me know what you think Santa should bring anyone on the show. What do you think they need from Santa this year? But that is the only thing I want to say before I get started. So let's go ahead and jump into talking about this tell-all. So this episode starts off where the last one left off, and that is Kody sitting with Suki, and he's talking about his relationship with Janelle and, the intimacy side of it. Now, Kody doesn't actually answer the questions that Suki has asked directly because she's sort of asking, like, was there a good intimate relationship? Kody doesn't directly answer that, but Kody says that he knows that Janelle wasn't in love with him, but that she was really attracted to him. So we're hearing again from Kody's perspective, there just wasn't really love there. And then it quickly goes over to Janelle, and she says that everything was good in the intimacy part of their relationship in the beginning. Like, she felt like it was, wonderful. She enjoyed it. And then it sort of switches back over to Kody. And this is where, to me, Kody gets really manipulative. They are talking about that restaurant meeting after the fight where Janelle says she wants to stay separated. And Suki asks him, why couldn't he say, when he was sitting there with her, why couldn't he say, I want to reconcile with you. I love you. And I want you to listen to how Kody responds to that.
No, I am not in that place. I am not wanting to pursue her. I'm not there now.
So they're talking about that meeting where she said she wanted to stay separated. And then he's saying when he was there, he wasn't really ready to reconcile. And you can see when they're sitting there together, there is a little bit of them both, I think, being standoffish. But I want to remind you of what Kody did at the end of that meeting. So I went and got a clip from that episode. And this was what he was saying when he was getting ready to leave. So when it was all over, this is how Kody ended it.
You didn't think that I missed you?
Well, no, because...
You didn't think I want to kiss you on the lips and see you again?
So I'm just throwing that in there because you can see there he's a little bit flirtatious toward her. My thing about this is I don't think Kody was really, really interested in reconciling with her. I think he was just trying to get her to stay with him so that he had more than one wife. I don't know that he was interested in really working on their relationship, but I think Kody manipulates things and he does what he needs to do to keep people hanging around and hanging on. And then when he goes to retell it, he just changes it in whatever way he likes. So that is my perspective on what he was saying in this part of the show. After this, it goes back over to Janelle with Suki, and she says she doesn't believe that Kody is really holding out any hope for their relationship. It's just about his life and wanting to live polygamy, and it's about the promise that he made to Robin about being polygamist. So she doesn't even really believe he's trying to work on their relationship. And we've talked about that here. Even when he was leaving, or even when Christine was leaving him, and we saw so much anger from him, a lot of us agreed it had less to do with Christine and their marriage and more to do with his ego, with money, keeping the show going, control, not really about his relationship with her. Then we end up seeing Christine, and Christine talks about how she always felt like in order to get love from Kody, she had to earn it. Like she had to cook the food he wanted her to cook. She had to keep the house a certain way. She always was trying to please him and earn favor. Remember that from the last tell-all? You could earn his favor. Christine says she felt that way. And she didn't even realize how much stress that she was under when she was with him. But it would be stressful to live like that, trying to please someone all the time, or they're going to go and be with the other wife. So I imagine being away from him and just getting to be in a monogamous relationship or even be single, it probably feels like there is a lot less stress there. And then it switches over to Meri, and she says the same thing that Christine says, but a little bit differently. She says that Kody would ask her to be a certain way, to do certain things, and there was always this promise that it would help their relationship, but it was never enough. So she's sort of saying, what Christine says. They were both trying to earn his love, and if they didn't do good enough, he would go and be with someone else. And let's get real, even when they did do what he wanted, and even when they went above and beyond, it didn't matter. He was going to go and be with Robin. While Suki is talking to Meri, she asks if it's hard to see Kody be emotionally available to someone else when he wasn't available to her. And Meri says it's like a knife in the kidneys. So she sort of makes a joke about it, but she says it does hurt her. And I just wanted to throw it in there because I really do enjoy Meri's sense of humor. And a part of me wonders what Meri is really going to be like when we get to see her totally single, totally away from Kody, and she's living life without any of that stress. I just wonder if we're going to see even more of that bubbly part of Meri and that good sense of humor that she has. I'm looking forward to it because I do think Meri, even though we've heard some stories that weren't good, I think she's also, her story here, I think, is actually probably the worst out of all the wives. That's just my opinion. Between the infertility issues, Kody neglecting her, the story we hear in this episode, she's probably, in my opinion, had the worst relationship with Kody throughout the years. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens if she can let go of that. The show ends up switching back over to Kody, and at this point, he really starts to irritate me. Suki asks him if he was in love with Meri when he married her, and I'm going to put in a clip here of him talking about it.
I told her I loved her, and I chose to love her. And I chose to be romantic. She thinks I was madly head over heels over her.
Did any of you guys watch this part and get super irritated and annoyed with him? To sit there and just be like, I faked it? Does he not realize how awful this makes him look? He looks like an awful human being, and it's unnecessary to say this. This is one of those things, kind of like the nacho story with Christine. He could have known that and just kept it in his mind and never said it out loud. He could have said, Meri and I just didn't work. Too many things happened. It didn't go the way we planned. I loved her and I don't now. That would have been enough. But nope, he's got to act like he never loved her at all. And it doesn't make him look like a good person. It doesn't. It makes him look awful. And I would never want to encourage someone to just lie, but I think he could have left this out. But I'm going to be honest with you. A part of me thinks he's lying now. He's changing things to make it look the way he wants it to look. I still think he loved Meri. That's just how I feel. But let's say he didn't. He could have just kept this to himself. And I'm floored. I'm just floored about why he's choosing to share this. It makes him appear very manipulative. He actually says, while he's talking about this, that they were acting like they were in love and that Meri really believes it, but he wasn't in love with her. To me, this just makes him look like a manipulative, terrible person. I mean, I don't know what he's getting out of it. I can't figure out what would motivate him to change the story or tell it, even if it was true. It just makes him look awful. It makes him look like he has lied to 3 women about being in love with them, got them to commit to him for years, have children with him, and then now he's on television saying that he was faking it the whole time. I mean, congratulations, dude. You're going to win the Villain of the Year award. Like, I cannot wrap my brain around how this works out for him. Why would he want his kids to see that this is how he felt about their mothers, and that this is who he is? I cannot figure it out. If you have answers, go ahead and let me know in the comments, because I cannot figure out how this works out well for him. And Kody is the type of person who usually is trying to make himself look good. Okay, I thought I was done and was going to move on, but I'm going to add something right here. You know what I could see Kody doing? I could see him trying to hurt people and trying to get back at people and trying to push people away that he doesn't want in his life, including kids that I think he doesn't want to worry about and care about. Maybe that's the angle. Maybe that's what motivates him. But again, I'm going to move on because I could just stay here and rant about this part of the show for way, way, way too long. But you guys let me know what you thought in the comments, because I'm sure you were thinking some stuff too. From here, the show switches over to Meri, and she is talking to Suki about her decision to move her business to Utah. And they go back and show that episode where Robin and Kody went over to Meri's house, and then Meri told them that she was moving the business. So they actually show quite a bit of that episode, that part of it. They show the confessionals, they show them sitting at the kitchen table. It goes on for a little bit. And, you know, as they're showing it, we also get to watch Kody and the wives over there in the corner, so we can see their reactions as they're watching it play. And I have to tell you guys, I actually found it a little bit hard to watch this one. I don't know why. There was something about seeing them watching that just was really awful. And I think it was Meri, just watching Meri try to talk to Kody and watching him not care at all, and then seeing them all see it again. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of watching it. It's just a little bit too painful for me. But after that, after they've showed it all, Meri says that Kody did exactly what she thought he was going to do. She didn't expect anything more from him at all. And then they go over to Robin and she talks for a second. It wasn't really anything new that was being said. But then it switches over to Christine. And Christine has just watched all of that go down in Meri's kitchen. And she says what we've all been saying as viewers: Robin needs to stop encouraging Meri to stay. It's just not fair to Meri. So I'm going to put in a clip of Christine talking here.
I just don't know what Robin's motive is. I don't know why she is pressuring Meri to stay.
I wanted to put that clip in there, even though it really doesn't tell us anything. It actually does tell us a little bit of something, and that is they don't know either. Like, Christine doesn't understand why Robin's doing that. And we've talked a lot on this channel and in the comments about it. I know a lot of you think money is a huge motivation, that they want Meri to stick around for financial reasons. I know in the past it was the show, you know, keeping as many wives still in the family as possible. But it sounds, based on what Christine is saying here, she doesn't understand either. And I will say this, I think if it was money and it was purely financial, Christine would have hinted a little bit at that. She might have not came right out and said it, but she is getting bolder, and I think she would have hinted at it. She might have stopped herself, but I think she would have gave us a hint. And here she's saying she has no idea what Robin's motivation is. So yeah, I just wanted to put that in there because it looks like they can't really figure out Robin either. So I don't know, we'll just have to keep guessing. After this, it goes over to Robin, and Robin explains herself. She says that Kody still talks about Meri, and sometimes he thinks to include her in things. And her example is that sometimes he'll say that he needs to call her. So Kody will say, I need to call Meri. I haven't talked to her in a while. So in Robin's mind, that means they should stay married. And all I could think when she was talking was like, are you serious, Robin? So like every few weeks or months, he thinks to call his wife, and you think that makes like a good enough of a connection that they should stay married and keep trying to make it work? He talks to her a handful of times a year, doesn't really think to call her on an anniversary or include her at holidays, and you think that makes it good enough to keep working on it? Are you kidding me? Is she serious? It's almost just too hard to believe. But again, with the Browns, you never know. And Robin, I don't know. She seems so clueless sometimes, but then other times I think she's faking it. I just don't know. To me, it's crazy that she would think they should try to work on this marriage. Then it goes over to Kody, and he talks about how Robin wants them to reconcile, but Kody says he feels like they're just friends. Like, he's not in a place where he wants to do that with Meri, and he hasn't been in years. And he doesn't understand why Meri didn't understand that that's where their relationship was at. You know, he can't understand why Meri has such a hard time. But when we look back at how he treated Janelle sitting in the restaurant flirting with her, but then saying during the show that, you know, he didn't want to reconcile at that point. I think Kody flips and flops, says whatever he wants to say in the moment, not considering how it's affecting the other person. So that's probably why Meri hasn't been able to figure out what was going on. And I also think Meri got desperate to try to make it work because that was her family and her link to everyone. I do think there was a little bit of that there, but Kody definitely made it worse. So after this, it goes back over to Janelle. And Suki asks Janelle if she thinks Robin was giving Meri false hope. And this is what Janelle says.
No, I think Robin really does try to advocate for Meri, for better or for worse.
So you heard it there from Janelle. She feels like Robin just advocates for her and doesn't give any false hope. Janelle also adds that Meri calls Robin in. So Meri tries to include Robin in on things. And Janelle says that she felt like Kody was really clear about not wanting a relationship with Meri to her. So she heard Kody saying he didn't want to be with Meri. And she thinks that he's the same way with Robin. You know, Robin absolutely knows that Kody wasn't interested in being with Meri. So if there was any confusion there, I feel like Janelle sort of cleared that up. And after this, it goes over to Christine. And she talks about Meri and the situation of Meri kind of hanging on a long time. She says that you can have hope for a really long time, but then eventually you realize there is no hope. But even after that, it still takes more time for you to actually decide to leave and do it. And I think that's sort of what we saw with Meri. We saw that hope completely disappear and then her slowly get it together to leave. The show switches back over to Kody, and he says that he's always going to love her, but being in love with her and like being with her isn't safe for him. And I have to tell you guys something. They used to use the word safe so much it would kind of drive me crazy, but they've chilled out on it a little bit. I wonder if they realized they were overusing it. Like, it was so much. But Kody says it's not safe for him to really be with her in that way. He goes on to say something, and I'm going to put a clip in of him talking, because he actually says something that I agree with. And I don't agree with Kody very often. Sometimes I'll try to give him the benefit of the doubt, but usually I don't agree with what he's saying. I actually agreed with it here. So I want to go ahead and put it in. I actually want to give a little bit of context before I show it. Kody is talking about his relationship with Meri, and he is saying, it's not safe for him to be with her. And he's saying he's not going to put her down. You can figure it out on your own. You can make up any BS that you want. He's not going to do it here on this tell-all. So that is what he is saying leading up to this. Here's the clip of Kody talking.
But I'm telling you, I'm not going to sit here and drive the bus over her, because this is sad. It's heartbreaking. It just didn't work.
I'm just glad Kody was able to recognize that. If you think about their whole relationship from the beginning to the end, it has been pitiful to watch this whole thing play out. I'm glad he didn't sit there and talk bad about her. He did in the previous tell-all. He talked about how awful it was living with Meri, and maybe she is awful to live with, but quite frankly, let it rest. There's just a point where you just say, no more, it has to be done. And so I felt like Kody was saying that here, but I will say I still don't think Kody realizes that he was a big part of the problem, because I don't think Kody Brown can ever see himself as a part of the problem. I wish he could do that, but at least he realizes this is really heartbreaking. This is, I don't know, it's just so sad when you think about the beginning to the end for Meri. I don't know, was it ever that good for her? Was being with Kody ever really that good for her? They would seem happy together. But if you just think of everything that was unfolding and you know what's coming, if you've watched this tell-all, you know what story we're leading up to. It's like we're just learning more and more about how awful it really was. From there, it goes over to Meri, and she talks about how she wants Robin to be there when she talks to Kody. And that is why Robin was there when Kody came over to talk about the business. She likes to include Robin because Robin can speak Kody. Robin is the Kody whisperer. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, Meri seems to genuinely believe that. When she says Robin can speak Kody, she is so confident when she says it. And it's absolutely ridiculous. All I could think when she was saying it was that Robin gets in the middle and tries to stop Kody from being awful when he's around Meri. And so she thinks Robin can speak Kody. No, Kody is being a jerk, and Robin just starts intervening. We saw that in that last episode. Robin stopped him from saying something stupid. Some of you saw it as a control tactic, and maybe it was, but I think that's what we're seeing here. It's she doesn't speak any special Kody language. There's nothing about Kody that's that in depth. The only thing about Kody that has a lot of depth is his inability to understand other people. But Meri believes that Robin really communicates well with Kody. So it switches over to Robin, and she says that the issue with Kody is that he doesn't have a filter, and so people easily misunderstand him. And she does understand him, so she can speak Kody. And Suki asks her, what about the other wives? Can they speak Kody? And Robin replies by saying that they all have the capacity to do it. So if they have the capacity to do it and they're not doing it, she's saying that it's a choice. So there you have it, you guys. Robin is the Kody whisperer. Anytime we are not understanding Kody, we just need her to translate. They should put her in the bottom of the screen when he talks so she can break it down for us. I'm going to be honest with you. If I could speak Kody, I would consider it a curse. And if you think this is stupid like I do, we're not alone. Christine and Janelle also think this idea is absolutely ridiculous. Here's Christine talking about it.
I know, it's because Robin says that she can speak Kody, and I'm like, bull. Sorry. Okay, sorry. I'm going to be nice. No, I'm not.
So you heard it pretty straightforward from Christine. It is BS, but I will let you know that Janelle feels the same way. They end up showing, both of them talking about it, and they really agree. They say that it's just ridiculous that Robin thinks she can communicate with Kody more than they can. They were both married to him a long time. They can communicate with him. They understand him. But Robin uses this to position herself as a mediator, both when it comes to their marriages and when it comes to the relationship with the children. So when the kids are trying to work things out with their dad, Robin will say, well, come over and I'll be there to help communicate. And Janelle says, that's crazy. That's their dad. They don't need Robin there. So it's interesting because Meri sees this as an advantage. Robin is her friend. She's going to advocate. But then Christine and Janelle are like, that's ridiculous. Like, we don't need Robin in our marriage, Robin working things out for our kids. So you can see a divide there even when it comes to this. I think Meri should realize that it's ridiculous as well. But again, she has that friendship with Robin, so she just doesn't see it. And then Robin gets to be in the middle of everything. So the show moves on, and this episode is a bit more focused on Meri. The last one was focused on Janelle. This is like Meri's episode. And she is talking there with Suki, and Suki brings up that we're still talking about the episode where Robin and Kody were over to talk about moving the business. So Suki brings up the part where Kody had the idea to have Meri stay at Coyote Pass in a barn dominium with his cars that he only likes to drive in the summer. Now, I had a very unpopular opinion. I was fooled by Kody during that episode. I didn't think Kody was nice to Meri, but I didn't think this was a bad idea either, because I thought Kody was just trying to come up with a way so that he could start, I'm guessing him and Robin could start building out on that property and give Meri a place to stay, and she wouldn't have to spend money renting a house. My only issue with this idea of her being out there was, if she had to pay for it. I don't think she should have to pay for this barn dominium for his cars. But if he was doing it and he was saying, hey, Meri, don't rent a house. We don't want you to spend money that way. Go stay out there. Then I thought it wasn't the worst idea ever. But you guys disagreed, and you explained to me why. You changed my opinion. I will tell you, he had me fooled. And if I was Meri sitting there that day, I probably would have fell for it. I would have fallen for what Kody was presenting there. But no one else seemed to fall for it the way that I did. We find out that Meri was very, very insulted by the suggestion that she has put out on this property with the stuff that he doesn't want anymore. Not only was she insulted, Christine didn't like it as well. She says it was insulting to Meri and that he was putting her out there with all of the garbage, and he was trying to present it in a way that looked cool. So basically, Kody was trying to manipulate Meri and say, hey, I have this great idea, but really she was going to be out on the property with the trash. And I would have fallen for it because to me, he presented it in a way that didn't sound that bad. I'm ashamed to admit it, but it's true. I fell for his idea in that moment. So at this point in the show, this is where we get to the part that's really interesting. this is where the ring is brought up. Now, we all know in that episode, Meri looks over and says, something about like, you have a new ring. So Suki brings up the ring, but she doesn't bring it up to Meri. No. She brings the ring up to Christine. And if you have been on social media, you've been seeing clips of this. So there was a lot of drama about like out there on social media. Meri was upset that Christine told a story about a ring. So that's where we're at in the show right now. When it's brought up, Christine says that there is a backstory to the ring. And she says it isn't quite her story to tell. But since it's been brought up, she's going to go ahead and fill us in. So Christine acknowledges that this really isn't her story. But she tells us, so this is it. Kody and Meri had a wedding ring. Robin at that point was in the picture, but not married to Kody yet. Kody takes the ring that he had from when he married Meri and melted it down. He saved the gold and he saved the diamonds, but the ring is no more. Meri asks, like, where's the ring? What happened to it? And he said, I had it melted down. And Christine implies when he answered Meri's question about where it was a very cold response. Christine also adds this.
And I was like, he's like, I didn't want Meri to have control over me and power over me anymore. I'm like, it's still your wedding ring.
Christine points out that this wedding ring had been the ring he had had with Meri for about 15 years at that point. And then she talks about how after that, they all went on, all four of them, because at this point, Robin's now with him, and they designed the Claudia ring together. So we saw that on the show. And then Christine tells us more. He actually went on and designed another ring with Robin, and it sounds like now he has a whole new ring, and that is the ring that Meri saw in her house. Christine, she assumes it's possible this may signify a new beginning for him and Robin. Now, after this, the screen goes black. So I'm going to go ahead and put an image up here so you can see it. If you haven't watched the episode, you should watch this episode. But I'll show you guys what was on the screen so you can see it. So on the screen, it says, shortly after the one-on-one interviews, Meri learned that Christine had shared the story about Kody's first wedding ring. The next thing we see is Meri, and she is really, really upset. Now, before I go on, I want to ask you guys, do you think it was okay for Christine to tell this story? Because from my perspective, should she have done it? Like, was it like morally the right thing to do? Probably not. Was it a big deal? I don't think it was either. Christine was witness to this and a part of this as well. She was there when it happened. I guess it was Meri's story, but I think it was also the story of this family and them all being with him and everything that unfolded. So I have some mixed feelings there. I don't know if I have any really clear answer about how I feel. But Meri is really upset. She says the ring story is something that she has never shared, and it was not Christine's story to tell. She mentions that Christine can laugh about it all she wants, but she shouldn't have been the one to tell it. And my thing is, I think Meri needs to realize, I don't think Christine is laughing. I think Christine doesn't, she doesn't think this is funny at all. I think Christine would have been devastated had this happened to her. And I think she has a lot of empathy for Meri because they've all been hurt by Kody. So I don't think Christine thinks this is funny. But Meri goes on to tell the story as well. She pretty much confirms everything that Christine said. She says around the time Kody was dating Robin, he started talking about not wanting to wear the wedding ring from her. So around the time Robin enters the picture, he's no longer interested in Meri's ring. I'm going to put in a clip here of Meri talking about why Kody said what reason Kody had for not wanting to wear it anymore.
He didn't think that it was fair that I had claim on him. And so his way of doing that was to melt down the wedding ring.
Meri adds to this and says that she asked him if she could have the ring and he told her no. And she also points out that this happened about 7 years before the catfishing thing. So no, she is absolutely letting you know this was not something he did after the catfishing thing. He did this before. And it just shows how how he was treating her before she started talking to the person online. Like, we see it, though. I read your guys' comments. I think we all agree on this. He was a bad husband to her. He pushed her aside, and she went looking for attention somewhere else. Should she have done that? No, she should have left the marriage. But she didn't. She took that approach, talking to someone online. I so wish it had been some great guy that was on the computer talking to her, and she would have left him. But that's not what unfolded. But Meri's telling us there, no, he didn't melt the ring down because of the catfishing thing. It was happening earlier. And Meri makes it really clear it was when Robin was in the picture. And I think that is so important. But I have to tell you guys, I just think this story is heartbreaking. And a part of me wishes that it had been shared years and years ago. And I'm interested in, if it wasn't told, like, if it wasn't, did she avoid telling the story because it was heartbreaking, or did she do this to protect Kody? Let me know what you guys think. Like, why do you think Meri didn't tell the story? A part of me just thinks everyone was protecting Kody and the image that this family had. So that story makes Kody look like a pretty cold, awful person. So no one told it. But maybe it was just too heartbreaking to tell. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. After this, it goes over to Robin. Now remember, Meri and Christine said it was when Robin entered the picture. So Robin's not married into the family, but Robin is dating Kody, and then he melts the ring. But Robin immediately says that this happened way before she came along, because Kody wasn't wearing a ring when they met. Robin, a lot of men who are going to cheat will take their rings off. A lot of men that don't want to think about their wives will remove their wedding bands. Is she really that ridiculous? Is that the proof that he did it years and years before he met her? That's all it takes to fool Robin? I think Christine and Meri are telling the truth. I believe them. I don't believe Robin. I think he melted it when he started dating her. I really wanted to hear more from Kody about it. I didn't feel like, we didn't get anything from him at all. He does confirm what Christine said, that the Claudia ring is gone because the relationships with those 4 women are over. It's not the same. He has a new ring because it signifies the new beginning with Robin. After this, we see Meri again, and she explains her feelings about Kody. She says that Kody used to be a great guy, and she really expected that at some point Kody was going to go back to that. And it's interesting. This is something we hear from the kids as well. Like, Kody used to be a great father. We want our old dad back. And as viewers, I'm not the only person that feels this way. Again, I see it in the comments. Like, Kody in the beginning was a different person. He is not the same person he is now. And she talks about how now he says things that are hurtful and that he's not a kind person. But even though he was hurting her and he was saying things that weren't kind, she was still committed to this marriage. She took her vows very seriously, and him being a little bit rude or being a jerk wasn't really reason enough to leave. My thing is, the more we hear about Kody, like this ring story, I'm like, it's more than just words. She had plenty of reasons to go. It wasn't just mean words. It was neglecting her, ignoring her, melting their wedding ring down. There were all kinds of reasons to leave. But Meri didn't see it that way. She was still committed. It is what it is. We all, we all do relationships differently. When Meri's done, it switches back over to Kody very briefly, and he basically says he loves Meri. He wants her to have a happy life. It's not going to be with him, but he doesn't want to open the wounds back up. And then the show moves on to them talking about the last episode where Meri, Robin, and Kody are all out at Coyote Pass. They show that whole part of the show, and it felt like it took up, several minutes of the show was us rewatching that with them sort of in the corner of the screen. You know how we can watch their facial expressions? I just want to know if you guys noticed how much Robin was frowning. Like, her frown is literally like the way I drew a frown as a child. Like, that is exactly how I drew a sad face. Robin wears that perfectly in this part of the show. After showing all of that from the last episode, it goes straight over to Kody, and he basically says what Meri wants from him, he is not able to give. He's not able to love her the way she wants to be loved. So it's just not going to work. And then we see Meri, and she talks about how in the previous tell-all, she had talked about how Kody told her on one of their anniversaries that he didn't want to be married anymore. And so she said, maybe we should tell everyone, let's be public about this. And then Kody said he didn't want to. So I'm sure you guys remember that. I believe that is the same anniversary with the Rice Krispie treats, but I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% on that. But we know this story. She wanted to go public and he said no, he didn't want that sort of criticism. And what ends up happening is he tells her to not go public, but then he goes on the show and he's saying all of this stuff about their marriage on the show to the public without really going to talk to her about it and letting her really share her side of it. So in private, they agreed to keep it private, but on the show, he took it public. But Meri didn't know because she hadn't seen the show yet. Does that make sense? You guys know what I'm trying to say. I don't want to make it more confusing. And at this point, Suki asked Meri about the importance of being heard. You know, is it important that people hear your side of it and that you're heard? And Meri says this.
Isn't it about you being heard?
Oh, my voice will be heard. I will no longer be silent.
It just feels very ominous. Like she is ready to say something that's just going to blow us all away. And I'm going to be honest, you guys, and it's not going to surprise anyone. I am here for it. Tell us whatever you have been holding back about Kody. That ring story should have came out a long time ago. It would have told us so much more about Kody earlier on. Again, I understand if she didn't want to tell it because it was heartbreaking, fine. But if they were doing it to protect him, they shouldn't have. It seems like everybody on the show was trying to fake things for so long. It just had to stop sometime. But that is it. That is where this episode ends. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought. Again, I can't always respond to all of them, but I definitely scroll through and go reading all of the things you have to say. Sometimes you guys teach me. Sometimes you teach me that I'm wrong, and I hear you. I know I was wrong about the barn dominium, okay? Again, if you have any gifts you think the Brown family needs for Christmas, put that in the comments as well. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click like and subscribe. I appreciate all of the support this little channel gets, all of the comments. I really, really do appreciate it. And I hope you guys come back here to Happily Ever Reality.